I remember the exact moment Jake's words cut through the virtual meeting like a dry wind whipping across the Arizona desert. "I don't pay folks to hide behind screens," he drawled, his voice laced with that fake cowboy charm he picked up from too many weekends at his ranch outside Phoenix. I was there, logged in from my small Adobe-style home in Tucson, camera off as usual, just like when they'd recruited me 3 years ago. But something in his tone shifted that day. It wasn't about policy. It was personal. He wanted to see me, to make me visible in his world of big gestures and bigger egos. Me. Emily Carter, the quiet architect of their entire compliance network, working remotely amid the saguaro cactuses and endless horizons that kept me grounded. Why did it sting so much? Deep down, I knew it was because I'd poured my soul into this job. From my sunlit living room, with my rescue dog Rusty snoring at my feet, I'd built fail-safes that spanned logistics hubs from California to Colorado. My code ensured no shipment ever breached our service-level agreements, not once. I designed the penalty system myself, $95,000 per hour if things went south. They called me essential. Until Jake rode in like some self-appointed sheriff, fresh from consulting gigs that left companies in the dust. Tall, tanned, always in those polished boots. He preached team visibility like it was gospel at a Western revival. I felt the doubt creep in, that nagging voice in my head questioning if I was the problem. Was I too isolated out here in the Southwest? Too content with solitude? But no. My work spoke for itself. Logs pristine, audits flawless. Still, when he singled me out without naming me, I muted my mic tighter, my heart pounding. Why fight? I'd learned long ago that arguing with men like Jake only fueled their fire. Instead, I documented everything, the timestamps, the subtle digs. In the American West, where laws protect workers from unfair treatment, I knew my rights under employment statutes. But emotionally, it tore at me. Was I just a ghost to them? Unworthy because I chose the quiet life over office politics? As the days blurred under the relentless desert sun, Jake's pressure mounted. He nitpicked my reports, calling them too dense for the team, ignoring the results that saved millions. I replayed our one-on-one in my mind. Emily, we need presence, not just pixels. His words echoed, stirring a storm inside me, anger mixed with self-doubt. Did he see me as lazy, lounging on my couch like some stereotype? The truth was, that couch was my command center, where I'd coded through nights, fueled by black coffee and the howls of coyotes outside. I confided in no one, but inwardly, I wrestled. Should I turn on the camera? Conform? No. That would betray who I was, a woman who thrived in independence, shaped by the vast, unforgiving landscapes of the West. Then came the Thursday check-in before the big demo. Jake stared at my blank icon like it was a personal affront. "We're forging something real here," he said, his voice dripping condescension. I typed understood in chat, but inside, turmoil brewed. That night, I ran final tests on the SLA triggers, my fingers flying over keys as Rusty watched with worried eyes. Everything locked in, my profile as the key validator, unbreakable without me. It wasn't revenge I sought, it was security. A safeguard against shortcuts that could ruin lives, like the warehouse workers depending on our systems for safe deliveries across the Rockies. Friday hit like a flash flood. Mid-meeting, my access flickered, revoked. Azlek ping, per Jake. Downgrading your creds. No warning. No process. Legally, it screamed violation. California labor laws demand due cause for such changes, especially for key personnel. But the emotional hit? Devastating. I felt erased. My contributions dismissed like tumbleweeds in the wind. Tears welled, but I pushed them down, screenshotting everything, flagging legal passively. Why me? The inner voice screamed. Because I wouldn't play his game? I paced my porch, staring at the red rock formations, feeling the isolation I'd once loved now closing in like canyon walls. I backed up files, my hands steady despite the rage simmering beneath. They didn't know the system still pointed to me, the 36-hour validation window I'd embedded for insurance compliance. It wasn't malice, it was protocol, clear under U.S. federal regs for critical infrastructure. But as I sat there, coffee cooling, I confronted my pain. Years of loyalty, rewarded with betrayal. Was this the West's harsh lesson, survive or be trampled? I didn't celebrate. I mourned what could have been a better team. If only they'd valued the invisible threads holding it together. The weekend dragged like a slow train through the Nevada Badlands, each hour amplifying the ache in my chest. I didn't attend prep meetings, uninvited, unseen. From my Tucson haven, I monitored Slack threads anonymously, seeing their blind confidence. They tested flows, celebrated early wins, oblivious to the ticking bomb I'd architected not out of spite, but necessity. Emotionally, it overwhelmed me. How could they discard me so easily? I replayed childhood memories of my father's ranch failures in Wyoming, where hard work meant nothing without recognition. Was I repeating his fate, pouring heart into invisible labors? Jake's face haunted my thoughts, his smug grin, assuming he'd streamlined by sidelining me. But legally, he'd crossed lines, revoking access without documentation violated EEOC guidelines on fair treatment, especially for remote workers in tech-heavy Western states like ours. I could have sued, claimed constructive dismissal, but the hurt ran deeper. Why fight for a place that didn't want me? Rusty nudged my hand, his warmth for a small comfort amid the storm inside. I walked the desert trails at dusk, the setting sun painting the sky in fiery oranges, mirroring my inner fury and sorrow. What now? I whispered to the wind, tears finally falling. Revenge tempted. But humanity pulled back. Perhaps this was a chance for growth, not destruction. Sunday night. Silence from them felt like abandonment. No calls. No regrets. I sipped tea on my porch, stars blanketing the sky, feeling profoundly alone. The system would trigger Monday, penalty clock escalating, exposing their folly. Not my doing, theirs. But guilt gnawed. Families relied on this company, from truckers in Utah to coders in Seattle. Should I warn them? The conflict tore me, loyalty versus self-preservation. In the West, where pioneer spirit means standing tall, I chose quiet strength. I journaled my turmoil. They saw me as expendable. But I'm the foundation. Yet, does proving it make me better? Or just bitter? Monday dawned crisp. The Arizona heat already building. I opened the live stream from my couch, heart racing. The boardroom in our Phoenix HQ buzzed, mahogany tables, investor feeds from LA and Denver. Jake stood tall, sleeves rolled, oozing confidence. They launched the demo, dashboards green, SLAs humming. My chest tightened, pride in my work clashing with betrayal's sting. Then the failover sim, latency dip, and bam, yellow warning, red breach. Penalty counter, $1,583 per minute. The room hushed, Jake's grin faded. Panic erupted slowly. Reset it, Jake barked. But nothing budged. The CTO muttered about my key validation. Emotions surged in me, vindication mixed with pity. Watching Jake sweat, I felt a pang. He was human too, perhaps driven by his own insecurities from failed ventures in Texas oil tech. The counter climbed, $12,000. Investors questioned. Auditors flagged. My phone buzzed, Jake's call. I let it ring, tears streaming.
Why now?
After erasing me, inner voices clashed. Forgive? Or let them learn. Legal chimed in on stream. Clause 7.3, key person revocation lapses indemnity. Jake's defense crumbled. I didn't know she was critical. The CTO snapped. You ignored the reviews. My heart ached deeper. This wasn't just professional. It was personal failure for all. The chairman's calm words. She can't help legally now. $26,000 ticked. I curled up, Rusty licking my hand, overwhelmed by empathy's pull. They'd voided insurance. Risk the deal. But in my solitude, I realized this pain could teach compassion. If I chose mercy over malice. Calls flooded, voicemails pleading. I listened, voice cracking. Emergency. Emily. Need you. The hurt intensified. Memories of team wins flashing, late-night fixes. Shared laughs over virtual coffee. Was destroying Jake worth it? The West taught resilience. But also redemption. I emailed back conditions. Restore access. Acknowledge error.
Promote me.
Minutes later, approved. Director of Remote Compliance. Board reporting. At 11:28. I logged in. Reset the system. Compliant. Relief washed over me. But sorrow lingered. No applause, just quiet. By afternoon, Jake's role shifted, demoted to field ops in Albuquerque. My promotion hit. But joy was tempered by reflection. We'd all lost something in this drama. The aftermath hit like a monsoon in the Sonoran Desert, fierce, unrelenting, flooding my soul with waves of regret and resolve. I stared at my new title on the screen, Director of Remote Compliance Systems. It should have felt triumphant, but instead, it hollowed me out.
Why?
Because in winning, I'd glimpsed the fragility in us all. Jake's demotion to a dusty warehouse in New Mexico wasn't just punishment. It was a man's life upended, his bravado stripped bare. I imagined him there, amid forklifts and freight, questioning his choices as I questioned mine. Had I pushed too far, letting the system expose him so publicly, emotionally?
It consumed me.
Nights blurred into introspection on my porch, the Milky Way mocking my smallness. You built it to protect, not punish, I told myself. But doubt whispered back. Was it protection? Or a subconscious trap? Legally, everything aligned. My safeguards complied with NIST standards for critical systems. Revocation breached company policy under Arizona employment law. But humanity demanded more, empathy for Jake's blind spots, perhaps rooted in his own remote work failures during the pandemic. I confided in Rusty, his loyal eyes reflecting my turmoil. Am I the villain now? Tears flowed freely, the pain sharper than before, not just betrayal, but the weight of unintended consequences. The quarterly call loomed, my first as director. I joined camera off.
Mic muted.
Heart pounding. Jake dialed in from his hub. Connection glitchy. His face weathered. Voice strained. Reporting stable ops, he muttered. No trace of his old swagger. The team moved on. But I lingered inwardly. His wave went unanswered. A silent rejection that pierced me. Why did it hurt so? Because I saw myself in him, ambitious, flawed, seeking validation in a cutthroat world. The West's vastness amplified my isolation. No family nearby, just echoes of past relationships lost to career demands. Forgive yourself, the inner voice urged. But forgiveness felt elusive amid the drama's residue. A personal email from Jake arrived unexpectedly. Emily, I messed up.
Didn't see your value. Saw the... No excuses.
Just raw admission. It shattered me, waves of compassion crashing against resentment. I replied after hours of pacing. I accept. Let's learn from this. But sending it unleashed floods, sobs for the trust broken, for the team fractured. How had we reached this? My mind raced through alternatives. What if I'd spoken up sooner? Bridged the gap? The lesson simmered. Visibility isn't cameras. It's understanding hearts behind screens. Board meetings shifted. I advised from afar. My input now gold. But success tasted bittersweet. Colleagues messaged gratitude. You saved us.
Yet.
Inwardly, I grieved the old harmony. Rusty sensed it, curling closer as I whispered confessions. I wanted justice. But at what cost? The emotional depth drowned me, regret for not humanizing Jake earlier, sorrow for the invisible wounds we all carry. In the American West, where survival stories abound, mine evolved not revenge, but a plea for connection in a disconnected age. As weeks passed, I volunteered for remote worker support groups, channeling pain into purpose. But nights brought dreams of the demo's chaos, Jake's panicked eyes haunting me. Was it worth it? The question echoed, amplifying the ache. Legally cleared by an internal review, my flags praised as proactive, I still felt the moral burden. Empathy grew. A tender shoot in arid soil. Perhaps Jake's fall was his redemption too. One evening, under a full moon illuminating the cactuses, I called him. Jake. How's Albuquerque? Silence. Then vulnerability. Humbling. Miss the big picture. We talked, not as foes, but survivors. Tears welled again. Deeper now. Relief in reconciliation. Hope amid hurt. The drama hadn't ended. It transformed, teaching that true strength lies in mending, not breaking. Reconciliation's path wound like a treacherous trail through the Grand Canyon, beautiful yet brutal, each step unearthing buried emotions that threatened to bury me. After a call, Jake's words lingered. I was blind.
Emily.
Pushed too hard. It wasn't absolution I sought, but understanding, and it came at a price. Floodgates opened. I wept for hours. The raw vulnerability exposing layers I'd armored against. Why so intense? Because in forgiving him, I confronted my own shadows, the pride that let the system run unchecked, the isolation I'd chosen as shield. In the West's unforgiving terrain, where one misstep means downfall, I realized we'd both stumbled. Emotion peaked in solitude. I'd pace my home, Rusty's whines mirroring my unrest. What if I'd turned on the camera? The regret amplified. A chorus of what-ifs drowning rational thought. Legally, the review exonerated me, Jake's actions deemed impulsive, violating fair labor standards, but morally, I questioned. Did my safeguards become weapons? Inner monologues raged. You protected the team, versus you let pride blind you. The pain evolved. Sharper. More profound. Sorrow for Jake's shattered confidence. Empathy for his family's strain in relocation. I imagined his wife packing boxes, kids uprooted. And it gutted me. A surprise visit request from Jake. Can we meet? Midway in Flagstaff. My heart raced, fear, anticipation swirling. Driving north, the desert gave way to pines, mirroring my shifting turmoil. We met at a roadside diner, booths worn like old saddles. He looked diminished, eyes shadowed. Emily, I apologize in person. His voice cracked, mine trembled. It hurt.
Jake.
Felt erased.
Dialogue flawed.
Tense yet cathartic. I feared losing control, he admitted. And I feared being seen as weak, I confessed. Tears mingled with coffee steam, the drama peaking in raw honesty. Why did it ache so? Because vulnerability stripped us bare, revealing shared humanity amid corporate wars. Back home, waves crashed harder, sleepless nights replaying the scene, emotions intensifying. I journaled feverishly. Forgiveness isn't erasure, it's rebirth. But doubt persisted. Had I enabled toxicity by staying silent? The lesson crystallized lightly. Value voices. Visible or not, communication bridges chasms. I pushed for company changes, mandatory empathy training, remote inclusivity policies, channeling pain into progress. Yet,
Personally,
the hurt deepened. Memories of my mother's abandonment in childhood resurfaced, linking to feelings of invisibility. You're worthy, I affirmed inwardly. But sobs followed, the emotional weight crushing. Jake's updates came sporadically, learning humility here. Each stirred compassion, amplifying my inner storm. Rusty became my anchor, his presence a reminder of simple loyalties. One stormy night, lightning illuminating the mesas, I broke down utterly, grieving lost trust, celebrating fragile bonds. The West taught endurance, but this drama demanded more, emotional surrender to heal. As director, I led with heart, advocating for others like me. But inwardly, the conflict raged on, each victory laced with reflection. Jake's redemption mirrored mine. We'd both risen from ashes. Yet, the ache persisted, a testament to growth's cost. In quiet moments, I'd whisper to the stars, we survived. But at what emotional toll? The answer, deeper connections, forged in fire. The emotional crescendo built like a wildfire sweeping the California hills, uncontainable, transformative, leaving scorched earth and new growth in its wake. Months after Flagstaff, Jake's full story unraveled in a late-night call. Lost my marriage over this.
Emily.
The demotion was the final straw. His voice broke. And so did I, sobs racking my body as guilt and empathy collided. Why this intensity? Because his pain echoed mine, amplifying the shared wreckage of our drama. I'd thought reconciliation mended. Instead, it unearthed deeper wounds, forcing me to confront. My silence contributed, my system a catalyst for his downfall. Nights became battlegrounds of the soul. I'd curl on the couch, Rusty guarding, as tears streamed endlessly. Inner voices screamed, you didn't cause his choices, but heart countered. You could have intervened sooner. The regret consumed. Fiercer than ever, visions of alternate paths, where dialogue preempted disaster. Legally, all resolved, settlement under mediation, affirming my rights, but emotionally, it ravaged. I sought therapy in Tucson, unpacking layers, childhood neglect fueling my independence, Jake's arrogance a trigger for buried rage. Sessions unleash floods. I'd leave drained, yet lighter, the pain evolving into profound self-awareness. A company retreat in Sedona brought closure's edge. Jake attended, invited for lessons learned. We hiked red rocks. Dialogue raw. I resented your freedom, he confessed, eyes glistening. And I envied your confidence, I admitted, voice quivering. Tension peaked. Arguments flared over blame, then dissolved in mutual tears. We're both broken, he said, but mending. The embrace was platonic, yet soul-shaking. Emotions surged, a cathartic release under vortex skies. Why so overwhelming? Because in vulnerability, we found redemption, not vengeance, but shared humanity. Back home, the fire raged on, dreams of the demo haunted, but now with hope's flicker. I advocated fiercely new policies for remote equity, inspired by our saga. Colleagues shared stories, deepening connections. Yet, personally, sorrow intensified, loneliness amplified, prompting outreach to estranged family in Montana. Calls mended old rifts, tears flowing as I whispered, "I need you." The lesson landed lightly. In the West's wild expanse, true strength is seeking help, valuing every thread in the human tapestry. Jake thrived in his role, mentoring others with humility. Our friendship blossomed, emails of encouragement, lightning loads. But the emotional depth never waned. It enriched, a constant reminder of growth's beauty amid pain. One dawn, watching sunrise paint the desert gold, peace settled, we'd transformed betrayal into bonds. The drama's end? Not closure, but ongoing evolution, humane, hopeful, teaching that empathy turns revenge to renewal. In quiet reflection,
Είδες τρούκα ρούστη.
whispering gratitude for the storm, it forged me stronger, more compassionate. The American West, with its resilient spirit, mirrored our journey from arid conflict to fertile understanding. And in that, the deepest emotion bloomed, love for the flawed, beautiful mess of us all.